Are we live?
We're live and in action.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Yeah, we are live and in person. Unlike the episode of Shoe Bros Unfiltered when you said that and Ross called you out. I cracked up when that happened.
We had started debating putting everything on YouTube at that point, so that's why I was kind of getting used to saying it.
Yeah. All right. So welcome everybody to the ZGM Crew Sunday live stream. I didn't know what else to call it, but I like that name. I think it's a good name. And we are super stoked.
I think it's a good name.
Yeah. I think we're going to kind of continue from Friday night. We got Ross here this time, which is going to be fun. Ross is out at some sort of job site. He's in a unnamed, unknowable location. Anyways, so yeah, welcome everybody. We're going to kind of just continue on what we were talking about from Friday, going through the Dem debates, talking politics, whatever we want to talk about. If you have questions, please feel free to jump into the live chat, ask questions. We'll be happy to answer. And to kick it off, since Russ and I recorded HSP number 71, that should be dropping. I'll probably drop it tomorrow at some point. But since Russ and I recorded HSP 71, the South Carolina caucuses, Democrat caucuses have happened. And Ross, you mentioned you wanted to talk about that. And so I think that would be a good starting point. We can talk about that. And when we exhaust that topic, maybe we can jump into the Dem debates. So yeah, we can go from there. Does that sound good to everybody? Russ, Kyle?
Yeah.
Sounds great.
I actually have a question I want to ask Ross at a certain point in time as well that maybe we can get into. But if we don't get to it, it's all good.
Hey, Russ, again, from the other night, when you lean
sooner
over
than
to
later.
your mic, we can't see you because you're covered by the Dem debates. If you can move your camera over to where your face is on the you and your mic and your face are on the very right side of the screen. That way we can still see you when you're on the screen.
Okay, gotcha. So
for all of our listeners, this makes for a great video right now.
There's nothing you can do, Ross. So we're just gonna make do, not being able to see your face because no one wants to see that ugly mug anyway.
Man, hey, they come for the brain. They come for the brain. They stay for the body.
No, they come for the brain and they go, "Oh, damn it, I got this shit again."
Come for the brain. They stay for the body. You can hate
all of it too, baby. Woo! All right, sorry. Let's get back on topic.
So yeah, I do like to talk about the Democratic primary right now because it's very interesting what we're seeing. Was the big winner out in South Carolina. We thought he would win, but not kind of the way he wrapped. Joe Biden did. I mean, he won by 30 percentage points. I mean, he spanked the competition there. So for me, the big thing here is, okay, so Bernie came in second, Tom Steyer comes in third, and then drops out of the race almost immediately. So my question is, so we have Super Tuesday coming up. That's this Tuesday, March 3rd. So you have Texas, California, all these other states. So 1/3 of the total delegate count will happen this Tuesday. What I expect to see is we're going to see almost all of the minor candidates, Pete Buttigieg and Klobuchar, drop out after Tuesday. But the question is really for you guys, what do you think Elizabeth Warren's going to do? I think Biden and Bloomberg stay in. They run for the moderate ticket. Of course, Sanders, he's on the progressive side. Does Warren stay in? Does she present that counter on the progressive side to Sanders, or does she finally back out and let Sanders run the progressive ticket? What do you guys think?
God tier question.
I think she rides it out till the bitter end.
You think she goes to the end?
That was Warren or Klobuchar?
Warren.
I think Warren's going to go to the end. Klobuchar, did she already drop out? Again, I have no idea who she is. I see none of her advertisements. The first time I ever saw her was 15 minutes into the Dem debate the other night, and that was the first time she got to talk was 15 minutes into the Dem debates. So is she even still running? Ross, you said that the banker dropped out.
She's still running. So Tom Steyer left. So he actually came in third in South Carolina, had the best showing he's ever had, and then drops out. Now, he didn't get any delegates because the Democrats have the rule where you have to get at least 15% in order to be considered viable and to get a delegate. So he got 0 delegates. So the only 2 people that get delegates out of South Carolina were Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Currently, the delegate count sits, mind you, very little. Bernie Sanders in the lead with 56 delegates. Joe Biden's in second with 48. Pete Buttigieg is in third with 26. Then we have Warren with 8 and Amy Klobuchar with 7. Those are the only 5 that currently have any delegates.
Kyle, Amy Klobuchar, she was the one from Minnesota who, when she announced her campaign, announced it in the midst of a blizzard while talking about global warming. I don't know if you remember that or not. When snow's literally piling up on top of her own head.
So didn't see that. So we're going to have to limit Ross to talking because his audio is just terrible. I apologize, Ross. You're breaking in and out really bad. So if you can make responses, just make them short, quick little things. Everyone will be very much happier for the fact that you're being limited to yes, no, maybe answers. So, but you've actually dropped off the call, so maybe not. We'll see.
Maybe he was just posing a difficult question and then just left before.
Yeah, he dropped the bomb.
Dropped the bomb.
Dropped the
before it was his turn to
bomb
answer.
in Hall. Yeah, that's trolling 101 right there.
Yeah. Well, I have a thought on this. I think that Elizabeth Warren at this point in time recognizes that her chances are pretty much nil of actually getting the nomination. So I tend to agree with Luke that if she wins any delegates, which I think she'll win a few, she stays into the bitter end, pitches them over to Bernie, and bucks for the vice presidential candidate on Bernie's campaign. Just a gut feeling. Yeah,
I didn't think about that. Yeah, you may be right.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I'm waiting for memes to come out where it's like Bernie, the delegates.
I know. I was thinking about that last night, dude.
Do you know that meme, Kyle?
Where they're being equally distributed against everybody?
No. There was a meme that went around in the 2016 Republican primaries where Ted Cruz, and Russ, you may better know the context of this picture. There's a picture of Ted Cruz like standing in the halls of Congress, and I think he was wearing like his suit and like cowboy hat and cowboy boots.
With the glowing eyes sometimes. You know?
Glowing eyes, and his arms are like down at his sides, and he's got this like very impassioned look on his face looking at the camera, and the camera's like down low, so it's shot from like an upward facing angle. So it looks like, Ted Cruz has this very resolute posture and look on his face. And then everyone just started memeing it into Donald, the delegates, like he's coming for the delegates. And it turned into this whole genre of memes. So I'm just waiting for these memes to pop up with Elizabeth Warren with stands with a beer. She's just like, right. Bernie, the delegates.
Oh man, I think it could happen. Yeah. I just posted one in the chat. That's one of the there are numerous permutations of this meme. Numerous.
Okay, I see it in the chat now.
Yeah. There are too many to go through.
Memes are interesting. Like some of them get a lot of traction and they blow up, and some of them that are the really good ones get very little traction and just kind of die. So there's so many variants on a theme. So it's sometimes you see memes all over the place, and you see them being stolen and shared. And sometimes you don't see a meme, but maybe once or twice. But it hits home when you see it, but it disappears. So
well, that's the beauty of 4chan. 4chan is the meme factory of the internet. Really, 4chan and bodybuilding.com forums. You've also got memes like within little communities. Like, I don't know. I'm not on TexAgs, but I'm sure there's TexAgs memes that go around within the TexAgs community. But when you're talking about memes that actually go across the entire internet, that span the the whole internet. That is almost exclusively and uniquely 4chan that creates that.
There's been Texags, things that have permeated to Twitter, and then because of Twitter, then permeates the world. But yeah, for the most part, things that happen on Texags primarily stay on Texags. So Ross is saying he's back, but guys are coming and going hard, so his signal must be
sounds like a good Saturday night, Ross.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
At all?
I can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. I had to step away for a second. I as Luke mentioned, I am currently at work. Don't know if I should say that too loudly because maybe my boss watches my YouTube channel. Doubt it, but so
he could one day.
I guess. Yeah, but I guess for you guys, I didn't catch what you guys were talking about too much, but if it's me, I think we look at California, we look at Texas. Those are the two big gets for Tuesday, right? Those are the two big indicators of who's going to be the nominee. By actually polling fairly well out in California, but it's still Bernie's to lose, and Bernie is up in Texas right now. If Bernie takes both states, you have to believe he's the nominee. And I think if Warren is really wanting to still do something, what she should do then, if she really wants a progressive in office, is drop out and allow Bernie to take it on the progressive side. Because we're going to see all of the moderates probably leave. We're going to see Klobuchar. We're going to see Pete Buttigieg. Steyer's already out. Bennett's already out. All the other moderates are gone. The only moderate that's going to be left is Bloomberg, and he's not polling very well amongst Democrats right now. So where do you guys, do you think she swallows her pride and actually drops out? I know you guys had said earlier, but I think she maybe finally gets tactical in this and drops out.
No, what Russ was saying, and I actually agree with Russ. I hadn't thought about this, and Russ, correct me if I'm wrong. What Russ was saying is that what's going to happen is she's going to ride it out to the bitter end. She's going to throw her delegates to Bernie in hopes that she gets VP nomination. Is that right, Russ?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep.
I couldn't agree. Yeah, that's exactly what I think she's going to try to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this on HSP last night. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if the DNC at the end of the day kicks Bernie out of the primaries entirely and says, we are not a socialist party. You're not welcome here. Go run independent. And they just excommunicate him entirely.
So that was a big story yesterday. Florida has actually now sued to remove Bernie from the primary.
Damn. I didn't hear that.
To remove him.
Wow. Huh.
They have sued to remove him from the primary ballot in Florida.
Did not
the plot thickens.
But then again, I was busy as all get out yesterday, so I didn't pay attention to much of anything. When you said that Biden won by 30 points, I was A, shocked, and B, not really. I was like, oh, he won by 30 points. Like, oh, he did. That was his state. That was his battleground. If he couldn't win that, he was probably out. But that, and it was a caucus. So I was like, we didn't learn from Iowa?
He had to, what he did is when he campaigned in South Carolina, he just, wore shorts so that all of the, everybody could see the blonde hair on his legs and all the black children could rub his legs and the blonde hair getting out of the pool.
So I don't know about you, but watching the Dem debates the other night, whoever did his makeup did a horrible job because he was just looking old.
Dude, you know who? Really I've thought this for a long time. You know who Biden reminds me of? Do you remember Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
Yes.
Okay. Remember at the end of the movie when the old guy is like, "You chose poorly." Yeah. And then the dude's face starts imploding and melting away, and the guy just turns in. It's like Biden looks like the first stages of the "You chose poorly" scene. You know what I mean? Like,
was that
like
Temple
his face
of Doom
is sinking in.
I thought Temple of Doom was the one in India.
Maybe it's not. What is the one where it's? I don't know. Russ.
Sean Connery. It's The Last Crusade. Yeah, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade.
Is it The Last Crusade? The Temple of Doom is where they're stabbing the doll with the little.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's The Last Crusade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Biden looks like that, like the first stages.
Daruma! Daruma!
I don't know what was creepier, the movie that did that or Ross just now.
So I think Biden needs a good showing on Tuesday.
Or Biden in general.
What?
Ross, you there with us? Hello? Somebody else talks so Ross's face goes off the screen.
Are y'all waiting on? It's a good show. I think Biden going on Tuesday. If Biden doesn't come out with a bona fide half of these states, I think it's over for Bernie.
Yeah, I get the gist of what Ross is saying. I agree 100%. I mean, this is the last stand for Biden. I do think that he stays in until the bitter end, regardless of what happens on Super Tuesday. And I think that these are for criminal protective reasons, not political reasons. And so, he absolutely, I think, has to win Texas or California. And I think that Ross is also right. His chances of doing that are practically nil. I think Bernie wins both Texas and California. Just a gut feeling. So, yeah.
Yeah, with the the groundwork that Beta has laid, I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So
hell yes, we're gonna vote for Bernie.
Man, I've been thinking about Beta lately. Like, where in the hell did he go? Is he out on a vision quest right now, eating dirt and just kind of driving around the country and stuff like that? Yeah, man. Is that what he's doing? I don't know. He's been silent.
Down at the local skate park.
Yeah, probably. You're right. Of course he is.
Getting in some much needed skate time. He needed to work on his kick flips. He's really trying to nail down that 360 kick flip, the tray flip, Something he was about to nail right before, he was running for that Senate seat. And that whole time he was just sitting there thinking, man, if I hadn't run for the United States Senate, I might have nailed that 360 flip.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I'm honestly a little surprised he's not running for Senate this go around against Cornyn or Cornyn in the field. Cornyn's actually got quite a few challengers this go around. Not a lot that are actually making any noise, but at least they're on the ballot. Just being on the ballot is half the battle. But Cornyn's, that tried and true senator, and he's been for the most part a good senator. I don't know everything about him, but the fact that Beto isn't running against him on the Democratic side is kind of surprising. Is I don't even know. Russ, are you live in Texas or no?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Is there anyone actually on the Democrat side that's running for this Senate race?
Yes, there is, and I can't recall who it is right offhand. There is a Democrat socialist candidate that's running on the left. Let me just look this up. But there are competitors on the ballot. Sorry about this. And dear listener hates it when we type. I know. So sorry, dear listener. Sorry. So,
versus Cornyn.
Yeah.
Dan comments. He says Beto whipped up bat soup to sabotage 4D style.
Ross, do you know who's running on the Democrat ticket for the Cornyn's Senate seat?
I have it here. There are numerous. There is Chris Bell, Michael Cooper, Amanda Edwards, Jack Daniel Foster Jr., Annie Garcia, Victor Harris, Mary Jennings Heeger, Sema Hernandez. I think she's the dim sock. D.R. Hunter, Adrienne Osegueda, Christina Cintun Ramirez, and Royce West. So that's about a dozen on the primary ticket right now. That's a lot.
Okay. So are there any of them that are considered front runners?
Can't really. I'm on Ballotpedia right now, and I love Ballotpedia, but it's somewhat convoluted sometimes. I can't really tell if there's a front runner, and honestly, I don't really know anything about any of these people. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I don't either.
It looks like none of them have ever held political office. Not one of them. Oh, nope. Royce West is in the Texas State Senate. He has been since 1992. And he is the only one who has held public office running for running for Texas senator on the left. That's interesting. Very interesting. If none of the 12 candidates receives 50% or more of the vote on March 3rd, the top 2 finishers will advance to a May 26th runoff. Yeah, okay, we know that.
Those runoffs can actually do a lot of good for you. If you didn't have if you get just enough to be on the ballot as on the runoff, you then have that second chance to campaign. And because it's closer to November when the general election actually happens, because the primary is in March and then the general election is in November, such a distance between, people kind of forget about you. But that second election allows you to really campaign again a second time, ramp up your donation requests, and lets you really get your name out there and have that opportunity to run, almost a second campaign within a campaign. So it's very helpful for those candidates to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. I did find a little blurb here on Ballotpedia. On February 25th of 2020, a University of Houston poll found Heger leading the declared candidates with 22% support, followed by West with 7% support and Bell with 6% support. No other candidates had more than 5% support. Poll's margin of error was 2.7%, plus or minus 2.7. So, yeah. So I guess right now it looks like Heger, Hegar. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know how to say it. So,
it's Hagar.
Endorsed West. Okay. All right. Do you have a sense for this? Who's win the Democrat primary for Senate?
No, and honestly, at my local polling station here in Bryan, I didn't see any advertisements for Democrat Senate race. I didn't even see anything for Cornyn, to be honest with you. If it wasn't for the fact that I went and voted and I saw his name on the ballot, I wouldn't even known that Cornyn was running this election period, because he didn't really have anything in Bryan advertising, to get votes.
Wow.
So is anybody able to hear me now?
Yes, sir.
We can.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's Hagar. She is projected to win. Right now she's projected to take but it's possible it's going to go to a runoff. So it very well could go to a runoff with her and the second challenger. She is heavily endorsed by the Democratic left, the Democratic Socialist left. She is AOC for a Senate candidate. She is very dangerous as far as what we're looking for. But the good news is that the general election polls show her getting smashed by Cornyn. So I don't think Cornyn, unless Cornyn somehow loses the primary to one of these other guys who I don't think can really contest him. But unless he loses there, we should see Cornyn carry and still win re-election here. The more important primary election for Senate right now is out in North Carolina, where Lindsey Graham is facing a fairly tough Democratic challenger who's got a pretty good chance at unseating him.
Oh, that's South Carolina, right?
North Carolina.
That would be South Carolina. Yeah. North Carolina. Yeah. North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the left is a lot like they are very much out of touch with what the people want. And we've talked about this a few times before on HSP. There is an argument to be made for wanting a more principled candidate. I wish we had a very, very hardcore. Ted Cruz is the most hardcore capitalist candidate that we have on the right. I don't think that the Libertarian Party has a strong understanding of what constitutes capitalism, because what the hell does libertarianism even mean? So Yeah, I think Ted Cruz has the best understanding of what capitalism is, and I would want more people like Ted Cruz on the right. So there's an argument to be made for that. But what the left doesn't understand is that people are just simply not on board with socialism. You see this in the UK. As I mentioned earlier, we've talked about this on HSP. You see this in the UK. People are not voting left because there's not a principled enough candidate. They're not voting left because they're moving to the right. They just don't want leftist politics anymore, objectively speaking. It's no more complicated than that. And I think that you're starting to see that in the United States as well, and especially places like Texas. It's all they can do to flood Texas with illegal immigrants and Californians to try and flip the state. Which is what they're doing. Yeah. And
they've made the state closer, but they still haven't got to the point where they're going to win the state. And the issue is Texas has done a good job of going after the Hispanic vote on the right side.
Huh. Yeah, I agree. Huh. Now, before Ross gets his internet cucked again, Russ, what question did you want to ask him?
I actually wanted to talk to Ross about what was coming up on the primary ballot next Tuesday in Texas for Super Tuesday. I have not done my homework on what is on the ballot, and I've heard that there are some propositions on there that are worded extremely poorly. Yep. And I was wondering if you just had the intel on what's on the ballot. I'm a little concerned.
So you have a couple of different propositions. You have a proposition that would illegalize transitioning of minors. So it would fully make transitioning of minors illegal. It would in the state as general. So it would just be that no minor in the state of Texas would be allowed to be put on puberty blockers, would be allowed to have sexual organ transplants or modification. Those all would become illegal. Another thing that's on the ballot right now is the is term limits. So it's setting at a 12-year. I've already voted in the primary. I'm sorry to say I voted against that because I think 12 years is the wrong number. If you put it at 20 years, I would vote for it, but 12 years is too few for me. Because then you don't even allow people to get their retirement age. They can't even serve long enough to get retirement back off of their service. So it's going to say to a lot of people, why would I run? This is not a future for me. There's a couple others that are more Republican specific, but the big ones this year are those two: term limits, and then the disallowing of puberty blockers or of genital mutilation, which is the only really way to say, what they're trying to do to these kids. So that stems from, of course, that case with that 8-year-old kid whose mom was a pediatrician and she had twin boys. She wanted one to be a girl, one to be a boy. She wanted to transition her son. She had, started all the process at 8 years old. She was going to start puberty blockers, and her dad, of course, fought it. His dad, of course, fought it, saying, no, I don't want my son going through this. So now they're trying to make it state law to where.
Yeah, this was all over Facebook.
So now they're trying to make it state. Yeah, so now they're trying to make it state law. And of course, so the good thing is that the state judge actually decided to give him back partial conservatorship. So he has medical rights to make medical decisions for the son. So he is blocking the mother from starting the boy on puberty blockers. Again, as we've said many times, look, if you want to dress as a man, as a girl, or if you're a man who wants to dress as a woman, then it's your prerogative to do so. But what we shouldn't do is infect children and tell children that what they should and shouldn't be, especially at such a young, impressionable age. Kids don't know any different at that age. I mean, 8-year-old, you can't make a decision for yourself, especially a decision that's going to have long-lasting life implications. So puberty blockers, we've seen, they invert testosterone levels, invert estrogen levels. 40% suicide rate amongst transgender, even after transitioning, even after surgery. So, we're putting these kids at more risk. We're putting these kids, and we see that almost, I think it's like 60% of those who transition then attempt to transition back.
Yes.
Who, they decide, I didn't want to transition. I want to come back to my original gender.
Yeah, and the suicide rate is extremely high as well.
Yeah, so 40% suicide rate regardless. regret of having the surgery. And this is an 8-year-old kid who doesn't know what he's doing. He's just doing what his mom tells him to do.
Yeah, I mean,
he's just.
I think I was like 25 before I knew if I was a man or a woman, at least.
I would bet you were 12 when you found something that made you decide if you're a man or a woman, but that's neither here nor there.
Due to Kyle's weight, he still hasn't found that.
Can you tell we're brothers?
Yeah, I would say so.
It's just good nature driven. I love you.
I know. I'm just saying. I was just pointing out to the people watching. They may not understand that we're brothers and we have this understanding between the two of us. Yeah. And we'll just sit here and give each other shit back and forth. None of it's like meant to be in ill will or harm. It's just messing with each other, and we love each other, and that's all that matters. But to the outsider, they may not understand, or they may go, "Oh yeah, they're definitely brothers."
So there's an old saying amongst military members, like Army and Navy, that we give each other shit. But if somebody were to give each other shit from outside, then all of a sudden we're together. And Kyle and I are definitely like that. We give each other hell, but the second somebody else were to screw with Kyle or somebody else were to mess with him, I'd be standing right there toe to toe with him, going to the ring for him. And I remember from being a little kid, Kyle and I, my mom and dad used to play like intramural volleyball. That was the big thing in our community. Every church had a volleyball team, and we were at practice and we were just sitting there, and this, I don't even remember who it was screwing with Kyle, and I was playing youth football at the time. So I just full out sprint tackled this person. And the kid went flying. And from then on, it was like a joke for Kyle and his friends to get me to tackle people. So they would set it up so that I would go tackle people.
Good, man.
It was
fun. Volleyball, that's like more of a female sport. I mean, was your mom trying to transition y'all at the time?
No, in Lee County, especially,
male
it was
a real dick. Go watch male college volleyball. Those guys can play.
But in Lee County, it was very intramural. We had men's teams, women's teams, and mixed teams, and each church had you'd have multiple teams from each church, and they'd go play each other. And I always remember the tournaments were always like the weekend before the Super Bowl or the weekend of the Super Bowl, so people would be playing their match, going and watching the game, coming back and playing their match.
And this is before cell phones, so you weren't able to sit there and stream the game, wherever you were.
Right.
Everybody had those little portable 8-inch TVs with a little fold-out antenna. Like, come on, man, come on.
Yeah, totally.
So, and then when I got to college, I actually played intramural volleyball, and over the summer between my freshman and sophomore years, getting ready for my Pitt's Edge year, I was playing I went to the rec every single day, trying to get in shape, trying to get where I could outrun the freshmen, keep up with all the runs, stuff of that nature, just be the good sophomore. And I got to playing volleyball with some guys that I had played intramurals with back in church league. And at the end of the summer, they came up to me and go, "Congratulations, you made the Aggie men's volleyball team." And I went, "Wait, what?" Like, "Yeah, we played with you all summer. We really like how you play, so we want you to be on the team." And I was like, "Dudes, I'm in the Corps and an engineering student. I ain't got time for that shit, but I appreciate it."
I'm going to shift gears very quickly. There was something that we talked about on Friday that I talked to Jessica about. So we were talking about the difference in the Texas police, well, not really Texas, but in general, the American style of policing versus Europe. And I asked Jessica today, because Jessica's dad, my father-in-law, he's a retired German police officer. So I talked to him about if German police have, and the context for this, the context of this conversation is that in Texas, I think we can all, so in California, there's almost no police but that's because of the unions drive up the cost of police salaries. I remember when I lived there, I read in the newspaper, the average salary of a public employee was $93,000 a year. That's including street sweepers and bus drivers. We're not talking the more critically needed personnel such as emergency responders and police and firefighters. But so California, it's just a manufactured crisis of absence of police. In Texas, it's like they have this problem with the police where it is a police state. It feels like a police state. I mean, you can't drive 10 minutes without going by like 4 cruisers looking to pull somebody over. You see all these videos on social media and Facebook of people getting tased and shot and all this shit, and like here in Europe, there's seemingly no conflict between the people and the police. So it's an interesting question. Now, when you do see conflict, it's usually a mass conflict, like the Yellow Vest protesters. And in which case, I mean, if that were going down in the US and the police were legitimately trying to deal with a hostile, I mean, it would be, it's funny to actually think about what the police in America would do versus the police in Europe,
so
dealing with.
I drove home from Houston this morning. I went and spent the night with my in-laws, and I drove home all the way from Houston. I saw 2 cops the whole way, and both of them were involved with a wreck. And that's the only time I saw any cops. And most of the times when I do see cops, I see them as more of a deterrence than I do as an actual, they're doing something. They're just sitting there on the side of the road to kind of give you that gentle, friendly reminder that, hey, the speed limit's 75, drive safe. They're not really there to be a force per se. They're just there as that gentle deterrent, that gentle little reminder, hey, we do have laws, please obey them. Every once in a while, you'll see them whoop whoop the lights. They're not going to actually pull out and stop you. They just kind of flash the lights, kind of get your attention real quick, saying, "Hey, I know you're speeding. You know you're speeding. Slow down."
But even that is way more than what you see in Europe. Even that is way more. Last time I was in Texas, I drove from my sister's house in South College Station. I drove from there to campus, South College Station to campus. I saw 4 cruisers looking to pull people over. I mean, you never see that here.
So there's one thing here that maybe I don't know Germany how the police force works, but you have multiple jurisdictions. So when you're talking College Station, you're talking Brazos County Sheriff Department. You're talking Texas State DPS, State Troopers. You're talking Aggie Camp Police. You're talking all these different jurisdictions who all have officers out on patrol. So you have multiple jurisdictions that have officers. So these officers aren't really working together as far as across jurisdictions, but you have the difference. So instead of just having one police force, say for an area, you have the sheriff's department, you have the college police, the campus police, you have the city police, you have
It's the same. It's the same way in Germany. But what we were talking about the other day, Kyle had mentioned that there was, and Kyle, I don't remember exactly which organization, which police force it was, but they were shifting from like a monetary quota each month, like you need to get, I don't know how X amount of dollars worth of tickets, to I don't remember the word you use. It was an occurrence or So basically, you need to interact 50 times a month. And
they actually stated that the quotas have always been occurrences. That there was a misperception that they had to get at least so much money brought in. Now individual municipalities might be different, but from a state and local, state and county level, they only have to have so many occurrences. They don't have to actually give you a ticket. They don't have to fine you. They don't have to do anything of that nature. They just have to, be alert, be observant, and pull over people 50 times. So they don't like I said, they don't have to ticket you. They don't necessarily want to ticket you. They're just there for the public's well-being, the public safety.
That's your experience.
Yeah.
I can't drive past a state trooper without getting a ticket.
Well, you're
so
an
that's
asshole.
your experience. So
yeah, Ross is like, I'm a First Amendment auditor. Why are you giving me a ticket?
So
if my experience is if you treat them with respect, you call them sir or ma'am, and you be nice to them, they're going to be nice to you back. But I'm not an asshole.
Hands up, hands on the steering wheel. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I went from Austin to Amarillo, and in one trip, I got 5 tickets. All 5 were dismissed upon. All 5 got dismissed. I didn't pay for one of them, but I got 5 tickets on one trip. I literally could not drive. My wife, I called her after the first ticket. I said, honey, I got a ticket. You son of a USOB. We can't afford this. And about 30 minutes later, honey, I got another ticket. What the are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing the speed limit. I promise. And she's like, no, you're not. You're getting pulled over. I fought every one of those tickets. All 5 of them got dismissed. All 5. The one that took me the longest was Plainview, Texas, home of Jimmy Dean. Yeah. And I literally, the cops said, oh, I tracked you for 8 miles with my lights on at 2 a.m. in the morning. I would have seen him, first of all. And then the district attorney said, oh, I don't need evidence to get a conviction. I showed up for my court date. They literally walked out with a piece of paper that said, in the interest of justice, we are dismissing your ticket. No court, nothing. Yeah. So what I think legitimately was happening, and maybe this is, I don't know how this, they get behind you, they pull your license plate number, they see where your car is registered, they say, oh, that's 10 hours from here. He's not coming back. He's just going to pay this. He's just going to make this go away and pay it. So I'll give him a ticket. He won't fight it. Except Kyle, I am stubborn as a mother. I drove 10 hours for a court date to sit in the courthouse to be told your ticket's been dismissed. And I got my happy butt back in the car and drove back home.
Well, so going back to the original point, so here in Germany, so I talked to my wife. I said, so what in Europe? Because again, like you don't have all of these violent, crazy interactions between police and the people in Europe like you do in America. So I always wondered, like, what is it about America that we have all this shit happen all the time with the police and people, and then in Europe, it's just seemingly, it's just a non-issue, right? And so in Germany, so what she was saying that is in Germany, they do have quotas. It's a monetary quota. It's 500 euros a month, which is nothing. And everything counts towards that. If you give a parking ticket, it counts towards that. The police officers, they can go set up speeding cameras and then just wait to. And she was like, and so her dad was saying that my father-in-law was saying is like, you can hit that in 4 hours. Like you can hit that in half a day and then you can spend the rest of the month in an ice cream shop. And so it's just a total non-issue. So the police spend like half a day hitting their little quota, which is it's nominal, it's unimportant, it basically doesn't even exist, and then they spend the rest of the month actually just waiting for people to call in crimes. And I personally prefer that a lot more. I do not like the idea of prevention. Like prevention of crime. I don't like prevention of crime. I like retaliation against those who commit crimes. That's what I like. Because once you have all these things, I mean, 50 interactions a month may seem like not a big deal, but think about how many of those 50 interactions ensnare these officers into these ridiculous scenarios of crazy people doing absurd things where they were just trying to drive home. Now, I'm not saying they're innocent either. These people do evil, terrible things, but like it to me, all these interactions, like 50 interactions a month, it just ensnares the police into all of these scenarios that would have never happened had they didn't have this ridiculous quota.
So let's say they work 20 days a month out of 30, or no, not even that. Let's say 30 day month. That's 4 weeks. Yeah. So 20 days. That's 2.5, 3 occurrences a day. So it's like little to nothing. And like you said, they could be giving a parking ticket. That's an occurrence. So just being there and being visible and pulling someone over or doing something, showing up somewhere and talking to people, that counts as an occurrence too. Only 3 times a day? That seems like that's not nearly enough to me. I mean, if we're paying their salary, I want them out there 8 hours a day at least. I want them doing not the bare minimum. I want them doing something, but I also don't want them doing nothing. I don't want them, I don't want them going above. I don't want them going overboard. So I don't want to make the number so high that they have to feel like they're constantly pulling somebody over. But 3 a day, I mean, that's three situations a day where they talk to somebody. Like I said, don't have to give them a ticket, but just 3 times a day where they actually talk to somebody. Seems like I should get more out of my paycheck, out of my taxes that I'm paying for them to do. I feel like I'm paying a lot of money, and I'm not getting a lot if they're only doing 1 or 2 a day.
Yeah, but you have to think about it in this context. They're not just talking to somebody. I mean, they're not making cold calls. It's not like they're picking up the phone and calling people on LinkedIn. I mean, who knows who these people are? They could be armed, they could be dangerous, and we see this.
No one makes them sign up to be a police officer, Luke. That's their choice. They willingly go into that profession, and then they want to do it. That's why they became a police officer, is to uphold the law. I didn't join the military because someone put a gun to my head and said, you're going to join the military. I joined voluntarily because it was something I felt like I wanted to do. If I'd have gotten sent to the Middle East and died there, that would have been on nobody but me because I chose to join.
Sure, and I don't disagree with that.
These cops are not forced into conscription. It is a voluntary profession.
Yeah,
and if
for me, if I'm paying their
salary, I want them doing something. I don't want them sitting there doing nothing. I don't want them sitting in a donut shop eating donuts. I don't want them sitting at Whataburger eating Whataburger. I want them out on the streets, either being a deterrence or enforcing the rules.
Yeah, my point. I don't disagree with anything about, like, of course they signed up for it, and never made any implication that otherwise, right? But my point is that the reason we see all these problems, the reason people have a hostility towards the police, is because the police are running around looking for problems. They're proactively looking for problems. They're in small problems, all kinds of problems. What I would be interested in is and the same thing applies to, like, the government trying to bust people for financial crimes. Ross, I got you. I see you. You're next. I would have much rather, like, FBI agents be focused on trying to find people like Bernie Madoff than just running around doing bullshit activities, like ticketing people for no front. Like, who cares about that stuff? Like, if there's a actual real crime going on where somebody's store is getting robbed, I would love it if there were 30 police officers immediately available, able to go respond to that. But no, half of them are all tied up ticketing people for parking tickets and no front license plate. And they're like, oh, sorry, so it's only like in a real crime situation where they're like, oh shit, I gotta go, bye. It's so, and we don't have these problems over here. It feels so much more free. Like, you're not constantly looking over your shoulder. Oh, there's a cop that just passed me. Oh, there's a cop that's behind me. Am I going to get pulled over? It's not even on your mind. It's a totally and completely different mindset over here, because the police, they're not looking for problems. They only retaliate when there is a problem. Ross, sorry, I'm gonna pass it to Ross directly.
Yes, because I'll never get to talk again. So I think maybe I don't know. Again, you're the only person in Germany, so you're the only person that can talk to that experience. What we can talk to is here. One of the things here, and I don't know how it is in Germany again, but they have to catch you in the act. So if you're speeding, somebody can't call and say, oh, he was speeding, and they go pull you over. They have to catch you in the act of speeding. So if you slow down before they can find you, they can't give you a ticket for it. If another cop calls ahead and says, hey, I think this guy is speeding, check him on your radar, and you hit his radar and you're not speeding, you don't get a ticket, because they have to physically catch you in the act. I don't know how it is in Germany. Maybe they're allowed to make phone calls and they can come back and say, okay, we had you here, or there was enough witnesses to say you were, and then they can give you the ticket. That
is actually true. That you are right. They can do that. You can, like, if, for example, if you give somebody the finger, if you're driving in Germany and somebody cuts you off and you give them the middle finger, you can get a really serious fine if 2 people saw you do that. So yeah, you're right Texas, on that. But that's not the motive. That's not the motive behind this. Anyways, go on.
Well, but I mean, that's part of the reason you see so many cops, is because, okay, if we don't catch you in the act, we don't have a cop there that can actually physically catch you doing it, then there's that. The other thing about it is it's not as if a police force is putting all of their cops out on highway patrol. They segregate the duties of their police force. They have cops that are on highway patrol. They have cops that are for rapid response. They have SWAT teams. They have all these other different segments. So I'll give you an example. 3 nights ago, my house, we had a burglar trying to break into my house. I was gone. I was out of town.
Dang.
Within 3 minutes of calling the police, we had two police officers at our home doing sweeps of our yard. Now, the person didn't get in the house. They tried Jimmy in a couple of the windows. They tried Jimmy in the door. They couldn't get in. They probably left. We couldn't figure out who it was. But at the same time, it took 3 minutes to have a police officer at my front door talking to my wife.
Yeah, but that's
going through our yard.
That's a totally different subject. I'm not talking about response times. I'm talking about the prevailing theme of police involvement.
They're all busy doing this. Well, Ross is saying they're not. There's only like 1 or 2 people that are assigned to that role, while the rest of the police force is over here for response time. So your premise.
No. I'm not bringing up response times.
I'm not saying you are.
Second point. Our police officers, we have very few unmarked or secret police force, right? I know in Germany from guys in the army I was with that there's a large segment of German police force that are plainclothes police officers, that they're out at bars, they're out talking to people, but they're not in squad cars. You wouldn't know that they're a cop unless, you had to interact with them.
Yeah.
So whereas here in Texas, all of our police cars are really brightly painted. We see the lights. We know that they're there. So maybe it's not that they're not there in Germany.
Police cars in the States.
There are, but it's a small percentage of the total, right? Versus
same here in Germany.
So what I was told, and again, I'm not in Germany, so I don't know this for a fact, and maybe you could speak to this, is that there's a lot of not undercover police, but guys that are just walking around inside the communities that are police, and they're just wearing normal clothes. They're big, bulky dudes, and if you do something wrong, they'll thunk you on top of the head and send you on your way. Whereas I don't think we have that here in the US.
That's both countries for sure.
We have undercover cops, but I think our police are more. We see them more often. I don't know, but I think to Kyle's point,
that's my whole point.
Well, but is it an issue that you're seeing your police force and that the seeing of them, like Kyle said, is a deterrent. If hey, shit, there might be a cop around the corner, that's going to deter you from causing a crime. And I think you said something earlier, and I want to make sure we're using our words correctly. You said violent interactions at one point. Most police interactions, like 1%, are violent interactions. So yes, we see these big protests when there is a violent interaction with the police, but it's very, very, very rare that a police interaction actually turns violent or use of force is necessary.
Right, but
that's why they all wear the body cams.
But my point is that the interactions themselves are way, way, way more prolific. Way more prolific than here.
Well, and
that's my whole point.
Maybe you just break the law more than everybody else. Yeah. Maybe you just break the law more than everybody else.
It's just statistically the case.
So
you don't have that over here. I mean, like, who gives a shit if you're going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit? Nobody cares. Like that's not like an imminent threat to society.
Wait. I care. I care because I have 5 kids in my car. If you're doing 10 miles over the speed limit, you're much more likely to be in an accident, which could possibly involve me, which means you're now potentially putting my and my children's lives in danger. So we have the laws, we have the rules. Driving, there's no right to drive, right? There's no right to have a vehicle and drive on the highway.
So what if I told you that on the Autobahn in Germany, where there's no speed limits, it's 4 times safer statistically?
But they do enforce the left lane rule very strictly there.
Sort of. That they don't really enforce it strictly because there's just not that many police officers on the road. But as a result, they've worked out that culturally they've worked out a way to tell people to get the hell out of the left lane. So what happens is when somebody's in the left lane cruising along at 100 kilometers an hour and it's an unlimited speed zone, somebody's coming up on them at 200 kilometers an hour. So 200 kilometers an hour is about 130 miles an hour, and somebody's driving 60. Well, what's going to happen? They come riding right up on their ass. Everyone is hyper aware. People are not like little robots running. Like, people are aware of what they're doing. So if you're hauling ass, you're hyper aware of what you're doing. Believe me when I tell you, it's extremely hard to white knuckle 130 miles an hour for more than about 20 minutes. It requires an incredible amount of concentration. And so what happens is when you come up on somebody who's riding in the left lane, you slam on your brakes, you put your left blinker on, and then you flash your brights, and they go, oh shit, and they get out of the way. And then you continue on the way, and then cars start buzzing by again. It's not a threat to society. Believe me, I've driven countless hours on roads without speed limits.
And
That's on a road that's designed for that kind of driving. First, our roads are not designed for that kind of driving.
That's
we have
true.
more curves. We have more sharp curves. We have tighter lanes. Number two,
no, that's
those
bullshit.
Are all
you have
people
no. That's bullshit. You have way wider lanes in the United States. Germany has tight lanes, but the only difference is that the roads in Germany are extremely flat. So actually, you're proving my point because the roads in America are full of bumps and not potholes, but when you're on the highway, you're feeling like you're on a boat and not on a racetrack, So there's actually a natural speed limit in place. So you're actually proving my point. The roads in the United States have they naturally impede one's ability to drive too fast. Whereas in Germany, I've got an SUV and I can drive 140 miles an hour on cruise control and feel perfectly fine.
So I-10 is a perfect example of this. That section of I-10 between San Antonio and El Paso, right? They had raised the speed limit to 85 on that section of road. And what they saw was crashes went up exponentially. So they lowered it back down to 80, and now the crashes have come back down to a reasonable rate. I'm not saying there's a perfect answer here, but I'm saying that when you get on the highway, it's not free reign to do whatever the hell you want, and you are responsible for other people's lives when you're on the highway. You are a privileged driver. Driving is a privilege, not a right. I had this argument with the guy the other day. He's like, why do I have to get a driver's license? Driving's a right. Show me in any constitution, in any paper, where it says you are allowed to drive an automobile.
Why do I need a license to land this rocket on the moon? That's my right.
Right. Yeah, it's my right. So no, you are driving on a public highway. You are putting other people's lives in danger by doing so. If you are impaired, say you're drinking or whatever. And again, I mean, maybe there's cultural differences. I don't know. But we have laws in place. Those laws need to be followed. I want people there that can act. So I can tell you, if I do 2 miles over the speed limit, I'll get pulled over like that. But I get passed out here like I'm sitting still, and nobody's ever pulling those guys over. And I then drive 10 miles down the road and see that flipped over in a ditch.
Yeah, and I wish the police were not worried about the people driving 2 miles and over. They were worried about the people actually speeding and endangering the public. But no, they're busy hitting their fucking quotas. So they're just trying to hit their number. I got to hit my number today.
They can't be everywhere at all times, man.
Yeah, that's why it's critically important that they are free to actually find real people, like people causing real problems. That's my main point in all of this.
Okay, let's talk about New York City, right? We had stop and frisk under Bloomberg.
Yeah,
and what we saw is, okay, maybe stop and frisk was a little too far. Maybe that was going. It did lower crime rates, so it did do the job, but it still was, as you said, that was a real impediment on people's personal rights to just without probable cause, just stop people, pull them over and say, hey, what do you got on you? And again, as Bloomberg has said, primarily minorities, young minorities. But we've seen that having an increased police presence in these communities has made these communities extremely safer, that the crime rates have fallen by increasing the police presence. Now, there's also people now saying that that's racist, that by increasing the police presence there, that we're targeting minorities. No, what we're doing is we're targeting crime. We're targeting high areas of crime, that crime is more probable to happen by increasing the police force in that area. And that is bringing the murder rate down in Detroit, bringing the crime rates down in New York. So it's bad because, yes, I agree with you. I don't want to be stopped every 10 minutes by a cop just to talk and just to say, hey, what are you doing? But at the same time, I do want to have enough police out there that if a crime happens, there's somebody within a few minute drive to get there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you about the police presence thing. This is what should happen, right? What should happen is they say, look, we don't care about your ticket quotas. We don't care about your monetary. We don't care about any of that shit. All right. But we have an area of the city which is problematic. Okay. So stop worrying about the soccer moms on I-10 and let's go to the 5th Ward. Or stop worrying about, ticketing people for jaywalking in New York, and let's go to this district. That's what they should be focused on. To hell with quotas entirely. I mean, the only quota is it should just be crimes committed, right? I mean,
I agree with you there. But then you're implying that there's always going to be crime committed. What if there's not? What if somehow, some way, people just became model citizens and no one committed crime.
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful.
Now
otherwise, you have to create laws to give people tickets.
But now you're saying if they're based on the number of crimes, they're going to get fired because there's no crime for them to. There's no
The purpose of the police should be to make sure that there's no crimes committed. Yeah, it should not be to have 50 interactions a month or ticket people a certain amount of dollars per month.
What we're arguing is that by doing the 50 interactions a month, it decreases the amount of crime. But if you're saying it's just based on the number of crimes that they are preventing, then they may not prevent any crimes because there's no crimes to stop, and now they're getting fired because there's no crime. But now crime starts jumping again because now there's no police to act as a deterrence.
No, they should act hard and fast. They shouldn't be pulling over soccer moms for going 5 miles over the speed limit or not having a front license plate.
Well, I know you like to harp on this front license plate thing, Luke, but I'll be honest with you. That shit ain't been pulled over for a while. That is such a small, minute number of things.
It's a concrete example of many things that you can get pulled over for.
I understand that, but Luke, you're saying it's like it happens on a daily, every minute, like it's happening. It probably hasn't happened in 5 years because it went into effect, and then they realized people from out of state don't have to have it, so they quit enforcing it because it's hard to enforce.
Because it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Exactly.
That's why.
They quit enforcing it.
Why did they ever start?
Because they could.
Let's agree here.
Exactly.
That was a politician, not a cop.
Let's agree here that there's no perfect solution to this problem, right? You want police in the area, you want police force, you want police show of presence, but at the same time, I agree with you, Luke, that I don't want quotas. I would rather police just be out and about and they do what they do, right? The first crime they see, they go handle. But, at the same time, we want their presence. We want to make sure that they're there. We want to make sure, the original argument is why do we see more? Why do we see more police? I'm happy to see more police, but I do want them to prioritize certain types of crime over others. And also, there's a second caveat I want to throw there is that a lot of municipalities, they earn a significant portion of their budget from traffic fines. That is where we really need to address the issue. That's where we need to address this issue. Because if they're allowed to then pay themselves more by sending their cop out there and say, hey, every little ticky-tacky thing, and the other problem with it is that every municipality in Texas is allowed to set its own fine rates. So what a traffic ticket in Midland, Odessa is going to bankrupt you. A traffic ticket in Bryan College Station is a minor annoyance.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think this is the problem. The police department should just be funded. They shouldn't rely on going out and getting tickets to get their funding. They should just be funded, and they should be funded to the extent that they need to exist. So if crime rate is high, give them a lot of money, tell them to go figure out how to solve the problem and solve the problem. If you live in a very peaceful community, give them the amount of money that they need to maintain the peace in the community. That's it.
I want to call a timeout on this because we are now an hour into this live stream and we haven't clicked play once on the Democratic debate.
I know Russ hasn't gotten in, and I feel bad about that.
No worries, man. I'm enjoying it. No
Luke,
problem at all.
You're barred from talking for 5 minutes.
So Russ will get to talk more because Ross has to go.
We got Officer Kyle over here.
Know.
I'm not an officer. I'm just saying. If I'm paying their salaries, I want to see them out there doing shit.
He's a narc. He's a narc. Narc alert. Okay, guys, I've got to go. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Ross.
Hey, next Sunday we definitely need to keep this up. I definitely prefer these types of interactions with you guys, and I think this is great for us. So I definitely want to see us do this more and more. Russ, I'm sorry we didn't get to speak more to each other, but I like interacting with you and Luke as well. So guys, have a great day. Make sure, hey listeners, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're clicking the notification bell. Make sure you're following us and hitting all notifications so that you know when we're live streaming from now on. We're starting to live stream more and more. SBU, Kyle and I, this is going to be like twice a week. We're going to be live streaming, and then we're going to be joining in with the ZGM guys. So make sure you're hitting subscribe on all our channels. Make sure you're hitting notifications so that you get to know when we're doing stuff, so that you get to see it, so that when I'm making fun of Kyle and calling him a little wussy, that you get to see all of those interactions. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.
All right, good to see you, brother. Take care.
Stay safe out there, Ross.
All right, so Should we start the live stream for the Dem debates now?
Well, let's give Russ 1 minute. He's on the clock. 1 minute. What's your opinion on police force? Go.
I kind of see all arguments about this, frankly. I really do. I see everybody's point about everything. And I've been harassed like Ross has been by police. It's really annoying. I got pulled over in San Francisco one time by a cop that detained me for 5 hours, wrote me 7 tickets. So to the tune of about $5,000. Like Ross, I fought those tickets and got out of all of them, right? It's a colorful story. But the purpose of the police is to protect the public. That's it. It is not to prevail upon the people, to surveil the people, to prey upon the people. That's not their job. And we've seen this problem happen numerous times. I kept thinking about Royce City, Texas, and Wilmer Hutchins, Texas. They got busted for being speed traps. They were literal speed traps where they were funding their city governments off of traffic tickets, and the state government got involved. Yeah.
Rizal, Texas, just north of
Rizal. That's right. Yeah. And the state government got involved in all these speed traps and wrote legislation, anti-speed trap legislation, because of exactly what Luke is talking about. Meanwhile, Kyle, I see your point too. I mean, I don't want them sitting around in the donut shop, any of this kind of stuff. I want them working. If we're going to pay for them, they need to work, So now, I thought it was a great conversation. I enjoyed it.
I agree. I agree. I don't want them sitting around doing anything, but I mean, I'm perfectly fine with them cruising around doing stuff. But like the proactive searching out is my problem, know?
So the one thing that's helped a lot with this, Luke, and you've seen a very large decrease in certain claims, like, oh, he was racist, oh, he used abusive force, whatever it may be. You've seen a huge decrease in all this because almost every single police force, at least in the state of Texas, is now required to wear a body cam.
And I think that's fantastic.
And,
I think
that's because
great.
of that, and so I was kind of the same way with Ross back in the days. Like, how do I know this cop's not just going to make up a story and it's his word against mine? But now because of the body cam, if it's there, everything's being recorded. Everything's admissible evidence. The defense lawyer can call, go get that footage and then put it as evidence to a trial. Because of that, you're seeing such a large decrease in all of these claims because now the cop has actual proof that the person was being aggressive. He was being doing things that made him feel unsafe. And at the same time, you have cops going, you have people feeling safer too because they know as long as they treat the cop with, respect and aren't being an asshole to him, then the cop's on camera, his audio is being recorded too. Everything that's being said back and forth is on record and can be pulled into the court of law. So it's helped a lot with that. I wish it would have come about sooner, but with technology being the way it is, I understand that it's now viable, whereas in the past it may not have been. And you're actually seeing cops getting fired if they turn off their body cam.
Right.
Like, they're allowed to have it off as long as they're not interacting with people, but if they're in interaction with any port at a time and it gets turned off for more than 5 seconds, they're getting fired. And that case is getting dismissed because what happened during that 5 seconds? Why did you turn off the camera?
Right. It's
true.
True.
Yeah, I think that's great. But like, I would want to see a propagation of a culture of benevolence among the police force. I do not see, and there's some officers that are like this, right? But like, to me, the prevailing culture of the police in America is not a culture of benevolence. It's not a culture of protection of people. It's a culture of malevolence. It's a culture of, we have all these laws on the books. We just need to go find who's breaking them and ticket them. That's what that is at least my experience. And perhaps I'm a little bit jaded, having lived outside of the United States for a while and just seeing all these videos on YouTube. But like, even in the United States, I mean, I had to deal with police officers just giving us shit for absolutely nothing, for bullshit crimes, pulling people over for nothing, just, not trying to help anybody, trying to somehow damage them as a form of punishment for breaking some law when they simply could have just helped in the situation. There's this culture of malevolence that we live in a malevolent world, and we're here to make the world less malevolent. And I would want to see a culture of benevolence where the police are actually trying to promote peace among people, promote goodwill towards others, and not feed into this negative perception of themselves and negative relationship to the general population.
So I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
Do you TikTok?
No.
Okay, so that's probably where that view is coming from, and the fact that you've been out of the U.S. for a while. But of late, like the last 3 years.
Which view? The my negative perception of the police force?
Exactly.
No, I formed that.
They're only there to do bad. So in the last
No,
3 years.
I do not think that they're only there to do bad. I think that they do good things too. But I think the prevailing theme, the overarching theme, is generally one of we live in a malevolent world and we need to lessen the malevolence. It's not to promote benevolence. And I came to that opinion before I left the United States when I was living in San Francisco.
Okay, so of late, just the last couple 3 years, with the rise of social media and the rise of video on demand, you have a lot of cop personalities that have arisen through social media such as TikTok, where they're going out and they're making funny videos, and people are now starting to realize that cops are there to be helpful. They're not there to be assholes to just give you tickets. That got that bad rap because of, in the past, that's how they had been. But nowadays, cops are, they're starting to be seen as someone who's only there to help. He's there to be, of an assistance. He's not there just to enforce laws. He's actually there to be your friend when you need him, and to be your jury, or not jury, but your judge when you've done something wrong. But he's not your judge. He's just doing it then and there. Now, I understand it's been a while since you've been in the U.S. It's also been a while since you've been up to date with some of these social media trends. So the police force is going out of their way to try to curb that narrative, to curb that perception of themselves. They understand that they have this negative connotation behind them, and they're trying to fix that. They're doing what they can to try to be seen as, protect and serve. And that's it, protect and serve. They're there to be a good person that helps you when you need help. And you see people
making good TikTok videos.
Yeah, I mean, you see them out there. You'll see them out there on the side of the road, jumping cars.
Dude, you're talking. You don't want them in the donut shop, but here they are making TikTok videos.
Hey, it does what it needs to do, though, man. It deters people because they know the cops are out there.
I get it, man. I'm not anti-police. I'm very much pro-police. The police are an integral part of our society and maintaining society and maintaining capitalism and peace among men and women. But I mean that in the philosophical sense, peace among man. And I know somebody. I have somebody that I know that is a police officer and I look up to him. He's a great man. So I'm not anti-police. I'm anti is just and I think we're coming to the end of this police conversation. At least I hope we can move on after this. But what I don't like is the general philosophical approach to the concept of policing that the United States holds versus a place like Europe. And the reason I juxtapose the two is because in San Francisco, I started to understand, it's like, wow, this place is basically anarchy. Like in Texas, it's the opposite. In Texas, it's a police state. It really is. You can't drive anywhere without seeing a police officer. You can't drive across town without seeing 2 or 3 cop cars looking to pull somebody over, looking for trouble, right? Literally looking for trouble. And then you go to a place like San Francisco, it's complete anarchy. Your car gets stolen. You have to wait for 3 hours for a cop to even show up, right? And then I was like, wow, this is a total opposite end of the spectrum, yet society still functions. Then I come over. So then I was like, okay, now I'm skeptical of this other model, right? Then I come over to Europe and it's like this sort of middle ground where it's like, yeah, we have police, they respond quickly, but they're also not everywhere, ever present, always looking for trouble, and I've come to really enjoy the European model of the concept of policing, which is that we're not out there. Yes, there's a presence. We're there when you need us, but we're not out to get you, right? And every time I come back and visit, it's just I just see cops everywhere, police, cruisers, looking to pull people over. Every time a cop pulls out behind you, you're like, oh God, am I getting pulled over? You know? In Europe, it's like that never even crosses my mind. It's so it's so free and liberating, the feeling of just walking the streets and driving the roads here. And I understand that's very difficult to understand. If you've never been to Europe, or if, even if you've been to Europe, you still wouldn't understand it. You would have to live here for a period of time, so it's something that's just totally outside the realm of one's consciousness if you've never actually lived here. But it's just, these three experiences, Texas, then the opposite, San Francisco, then some sort of middle ground, Europe, those three experiences have really shaped my opinion on the philosophical outlook of what it means to police. That doesn't speak to the police officers. I'm very much pro-police. I think we all are here. It's more of a philosophical question of what does it mean to police and what should the approach be,
Yeah, I understand, and I think things have shifted since you've left. I'm not saying it's completely 100% anti-police state at this point, but at the same time, when I see a cop on the road, I rarely have the feeling that they're out to get me. The only time I've ever felt like that is when I am actively committing a crime, aka speeding, and I see one, and I knew I was going too fast, and now I'm worried that he's actually going to pull me over because I was going 10, 15 miles per hour over the speed limit. Now, as I've aged, I've gotten to the point where I don't do that as much. I'll only go 5 over because usually they won't mess with you for 10%. But
4 over is my rule.
Yeah. So as I've aged, I've gotten better about that.
If you come to Europe, 9 over is your rule. Yeah. 9 kilometers an hour
it's 10%,
over. And I haven't lived in Texas in 10 years. Yeah.
So in Texas, it's 10%. So if the speed limit's 75, you can get away with doing 81, 82, and they're not really going to care. But you're doing 83, 84, then they start actually paying attention to you. But yeah, let's go ahead and get back onto the original topic, which was the Democratic debate.
Yeah.
An hour and 15 minutes into the conversation, let's actually hit play for the first time. All right, here we go.
Gents, y'all hit this. I'll be right back, all right?
All right.
I don't care how much money Mayor Bloomberg has. The core of the Democratic Party will never trust him. He has not earned their trust. I will. And the fact that he cannot earn the trust of the core of the Democratic Party means he is the riskiest candidate standing on this stage.
All right, Senator Warren, thank you. Mayor Bloomberg, would you like to respond? Mayor Bloomberg.
I have been training for this job since I stepped on the pile that was still smoldering on 9/11. I know what to do. I've shown I know how to run a country. I've run the city, which is almost the same size, as bigger than most countries in the world. I am not the lead. I'm the one choice that makes some sense. I have the experience, I have the resources, and I have the record. And all of the sideshows that the senator wants to bring up have nothing to do with that. When people hired me to run New York City 3 times in an overwhelmingly Democratic progressive city, they elected me again and again.
Mr. Vice President?
I was mentioned in this.
No.
I'd like to respond.
Go ahead, Senator.
He called me out by name in this
Okay.
and referred to what I talk about as a sideshow. This is personal for me. When I was 21 years old, I got my first job as a special education teacher.
I'm so sick of this story.
Job. And by the end of the first year, I was visibly pregnant. The principal wished me luck and gave my job to someone else. Pregnancy discrimination.
Okay, we got to stop right there. Okay, I got really pissed off during the debate. Wish you lots of luck. We're gonna go with somebody else. That is a proven, debunked lie. That is a lie. And I cannot believe the audacity of this woman to still perpetuate that lie that has been debunked time and time and time again.
What is the lie?
She did get that job. She got that job, and she was written up very positively in her role in that job. She was not passed up for that job. It's so stupid. And for her to come out and keep saying that she was oh, I was discriminated against because I was pregnant. You know, it's a lie. It's just a straight up Pocahontas lie.
Well, I was about to say maybe she got the job because she put Native American on the application.
I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did.
She has to convince everybody she didn't actually get the job. And I love Bloomsburg's little description about how he was like, oh yeah, you know, I got reelected in a blue state, blah blah blah. I can get the blue. Look, Bloomsburg, you need more than the Democratic vote. The Democrat vote. You need some people coming over to the right for you. You know, bragging about getting elected mayor of New York. Congratulations. It's like getting elected mayor of Berkeley, you know, like, and bragging about how you can get the blue vote, you know?
Yeah. And was he not a Republican when he was mayor of New York? I believe he was. I believe he was a Republican.
That's the argument Warren's making, is that the Democrats can't trust him because he was a Republican as governor 3 times.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I was Republican, but I was Republican to the progressives. So that's what you can believe, is that I was elected by the progressives 3 times over.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he's not. I don't know if he was Republican if he was a actual Republican governor, but I know that he donated. They talked about him donating to Republican campaigns.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, you know, I just love this Elizabeth Warren viral that she's throwing in against Bloomberg. I mean, man, it was all hands on deck against Bloomsburg. Absolutely was. I love that. Just rolls off the tongue. Bloomsburg. I love it.
The one I've heard more often is Doomsburg.
Yeah, Doomberg. Yeah, that's I think Rush came up with that. Am I correct? Maybe I'm not right about that. I think he did. I don't know. So,
or Doom and Gloomsburg.
I've got this pinch hitter microphone stand right now, so I'm kicking. So, but I mean, gosh, what's that?
Sounds like you're clipping a little bit, but better now.
I'll back off. Okay. All right, there we go. That should be a little bit better. So, you know. And I'm really glad that we got to this part in the debate and played that, because this really is where it turned into a lunchroom food fight right then. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden everybody's raising their hands, like Ross was talking about in the chat earlier, right? Everybody's trying to one-up each other. Everybody's trying to get more attention than everybody else. It was just the biggest shit show I have ever seen. It was even bigger shit show than the previous debate, even a bigger shit show. So I was entertained, man. Are you not entertained? I was entertained.
Of course. All right, we ready to keep going, or we want to talk a little bit more about it?
Let's keep going, man.
Yeah, let's roll.
I was 21 years old. I didn't have a union to protect me, and I didn't have any federal law on my side. So I packed up my stuff and I went home. At least I didn't have a boss who said to me, kill it, the way that Mayor Bloomberg
never
alleged
said
to
that.
have said to one of his pregnant employees. People want a chance to hear. People want a chance to hear from the women who
I never said that.
I want to allow the mayor
for the
an
record, if
opportunity
she was
to
a
respond.
teacher in New York City, she would never have had that problem. We treated our teachers the right way, and the unions will tell you exactly that.
Well, Mayor Bloomberg, Senator Warren has raised.
Let us have the women have an opportunity to speak. The Bloomberg corporations and Mayor Bloomberg himself have been accused of discrimination. They are bound by non-disclosures so that they cannot speak. If he says there is nothing to hide here, then sign a blanket release and let those women speak out so that they can tell their stories the way I can tell my story without having
Thank you. I
understand.
Oh, yeah.
Going to be sued
Did you hear
by
Trump
a
talk about this in
billionaire.
his
Thank you.
rally?
We have a number of issues to discuss
No,
tonight, but I want to give
unfortunately,
the
I
mayor an
didn't.
opportunity to.
Which rally was it? Was it CPAC or the Friday night rally in South Carolina?
I think it was even. I don't know. I think it was Friday night. Yeah, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't CPAC.
Yeah,
But he was like,
unfortunately, I haven't
probably-
watched that.
He's like, he's poor guy. He's probably got so many non-disclosures.
I bet he's right. I bet he does. Oh my goodness, too funny. I love the bants.
Speaking of CPAC, did y'all see the part in his CPAC speech where he was like, she totally caught him off guard. She caught him off guard and he didn't know what to do. He's like, get me off the stage. Get me out of here. And then he started squatting down like below the microphone and behind the podium. And everybody at CPAC was just cracking up and clapping. It was hilarious, dude.
No, I haven't seen either of his last two rallies. I watched the pressers, but I haven't watched the rallies. I'm going to be doing that this afternoon right after we hit the black button on the live stream. Well, actually, first, I got to finish HSP, and then I'll watch the rallies. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Now, do you listen to HSP before y'all release it, or you just listening to it for fun?
I listen to it. I give it a really good once over, to just kind of for quality check. I listen to it in real time. I have to make edits here and there for things like, I don't know, microphone stand noise. I'll cut audio out, stuff like that. Luke and I haven't really edited for content in a very long time. Yeah, it's been a really long time. So the content is pretty much as is. But, like, for example, while Luke was talking yesterday, I had a siren go by my window out here. That's got to go.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, that's got to go. So.
Yeah, we used to. There were times where like we used to agonize over, should we cut content?
Yeah.
What should we always wanted to leave as much in as we could, but now I don't know. I mean, I think it's partly that you just kind of accept certain things you wish you wouldn't have said. It's just too much work to cut it out. And then also, I mean, you just get better and you just think about things before you say them, sort of a thing. It's like a muscle memory. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it is.
Ross and I are very bad about that. Both of us are. If we're thinking it, it's in the either. It's going to be known.
Well, I mean, live streaming is different. When you live stream, you kind of have that filter straight away. But when you're not live streaming and you're just recording content, it's very easy to go off on things and let things slip because you can edit it out.
Like a 1 hour rant about police.
Well, that wasn't my rant.
You were very active in that conversation, sir.
Well, yeah, that's because I had to convince a couple people.
I don't think you convinced anybody, but okay.
I think I convinced Ross.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, he was conceding at the end. That's right, Ross. I know you're listening.
Yeah, he's in the live chat, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, we'll play a little bit more and we'll go from there.
All right.
To respond because she has raised concerns about women in your workplace. At the last debate, you said some of your female employees might not have liked some of your jokes. Did these women take your jokes wrong, or were you wrong to make the jokes?
Probably wrong to make the jokes. I don't remember what they were, so I assume
he should have done what Trump did.
Wrong, and I apologize. I'm sorry for that. But what happened here is we went back.
Kyle, do you remember this?
We could only find 3 cases.
What are we talking about?
And when she was like, this is basically the exact same question as the 2016 Republican primaries, when they were like,
the Megyn Kelly question.
Yeah, when Megyn Kelly was like, you've called women fat, ugly, slobs, something. I mean, this is the exact same question. Back then, Trump did what would be called agree and amplify. He was like, yes, but only Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah. It's so good. Only Rosie O'Donnell.
And that's how he won that question over, but now Bloomberg's over here. Yes, and I did, and it was wrong. I'm sorry. I mean, come on. What a pathetic answer. Nobody's buying it. Yeah. That's a losing answer.
Yeah, it is. It is. And when Trump did that was the first Republican primary debate. When he did that, I was like, holy shit. He's going to win. You know what I mean? He's going to win. Oh man. Let's see here. Do I have the right machine on? I think I do. Do y'all hear this?
No.
Not yet.
Okay. Oh well. All right. I could maybe make that happen, but we'll just let that go. Oh, I see why. No, you should be hearing it. Oh well. Moments passed.
Send it to me in the chat and I can play it.
All right. It is from this article. And where is our chat? There it is. All right. And the video is down, about halfway down the page, right there. Really? Y'all don't hear this right now?
No.
Dang. Huh. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with my setup, Luke.
Is it this Rosie? No, go away. Is it this Rosie tweet?
No, it's the YouTube video about halfway down the page. It's right after paragraph 3.
This right here? Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah.
Donald Trump versus Rosie O'Donnell, or Trump on the O'Reilly factor.
Donald Trump and Megyn Kelly go back and forth. It's that one. It's the first video there in the list. Here, let me copy the video link. This is exactly it.
It says first Rosie O'Donnell. Let me play this one and see if it works.
All right.
Video is unavailable.
Ah, that's why you can't. Okay, it's being content filtered. That's what it is.
Made me go to YouTube.
We got content cooked.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
that's
been happening a lot.
Much.
Yeah.
I hate when y'all use that term so much.
What?
Cuck.
Why?
Because as a man who's been cheated on, that's the real term.
Oh shit!
What the real definition of that is. And
it's not
how you're using it.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No. A cuck is when you're raising another man's child.
No, a cuckold is a man who's been cheated on and knows about it and does nothing about it. Now, as soon as I found out about it, I did something about it and into that relationship.
So you're by definition not that.
That's not how y'all are. Like, that's not how you're using it.
Okay, well, this is a meme on the. Are you not familiar with like the whole meme on the
Obviously
internet
not.
about this?
Obviously not, because I just every time I hear y'all say that, I'm just like, that's not no.
Dude, where were you like in 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 19?
I never once saw that on the internet, and I'm
no.
But
Russ, back me up here.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Kyle,
I don't do 4chan either, though. That might be why.
No. Rush Limbaugh talked about it. Rush Limbaugh used the term cuck-conservative numerous times, and it is mainstream. It is, and it is one of these things like Luke and I were talking about on the show yesterday. You know, it came out first as a noun, well then it permutated into a verb, and then it became an adjective, then it became an adverb.
Yeah,
and it is all parts of speech now, and
like Kyle. All it means in the context of politics, it just means not adhering to one's principles. That's all it means.
Right. And also, Kyle, I have been cheated on as well. So just so you know, a couple times, as a matter of fact. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I've been cheated on too. I don't know if I have or not, but I probably have. I'm sure.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
I have. You know, so. I understand why it disturbs you. It does not disturb me that way, having been cheated on and in the same boat as yourself, you know. So
it has nothing. It has everything. It's just a meme. It's been around for a while. It just means not adhering to one's principles. That's all it means.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't really realize that's what it means. The most quintessential example of what one would regard as a cuck would be Mitt Romney.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Probably right now the most quintessential example.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think if you have to explain it, it doesn't mean, or it's not as prevalent as you think it is. But that's just my opinion. I've never heard it outside of y'all two. But when I listen to your show, I hear it like every fifth word, and I'm just like, can y'all say a word other than that, please? Every fifth word, man.
Well, sorry to cause offense. Mean it. Really sorry, man.
It's not an offense. It's like it's all y'all. It's the only word you use, man. It's just over and over. All right, we'll get back on topic. I apologize for tangentialing that one.
That's all right.
It's your show, y'all. It's your show, and y'all do what y'all want to do. That's just my opinion, and that, as we all know, everyone's got one, or everyone's got an opinion just like an asshole, and they generally stink. So,
man,
yeah.
So it's like
pretty much.
Yeah. It's like I'm on tonight. I'm on about police. Kyle's on about cucks.
Russ, it's your turn.
Yeah, Russ. Russ. You need to air out a grievance now.
If we keep going on in this debate, Elizabeth Warren's going to get to me here, or Bernie. One of the two is going to get to me in a minute.
He kind of already has with Elizabeth claiming the pregnancy thing. That kind of going on a little bit of a rant there.
God, man. These people, man. These people. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
All right.
So, all right. So I just want to run one last test. I want to find out if I'm kill. Do y'all hear this audio right now?
No.
Kill.
Dang, man. I think it's Google. That's what I think. Because, Luke, I'm using the same machine that I was using yesterday when we played audio during the show. So that's kind of strange. So,
yeah, no idea.
Anyways, I'm over it. So,
all right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do 2 more drops, and then I got to call it. I said I was going to do 1 hour. We started 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
Which is my fault, really, at the end of the day. But
it's more my fault. I didn't get home in time.
It's all good. I mean, I was trying. Like, I think I'm an eternal boomer. I don't know if I'll ever escape boomer status in terms of live streaming. So, but I'm trying. I think it'd be better if I had a PC. Mac seemed to be difficult with live streaming, but yeah, I said I was going to do an hour. We're what, like an hour and a half now, almost 2.
Yeah, almost 2. Pushing it.
Almost 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 94 minutes ago that we started. So, yeah, let's do 2 more drops and then call it. What say y'all?
Sounds great.
Where women said they were uncomfortable. Nobody accused me of doing anything other than just making a comment or two. And what the senator did suggest was that we release these women from the non-disclosure agreement. I did that 2 days later, and my company has said we will not use non-disclosure agreements ever again. The senator has got it, and I don't know what else she wants us to do.
Oh, I'll be clear.
We're following exactly what she asked to do.
Tell you exactly
and the
what
trouble
I want you to
is, with this senator, enough is never enough for what this. I'm going to start focusing on some of these other things. We just cannot continue to relitigate this every time. We did what she asked. And thank you. We've probably made the world better because of it. And by my company renouncing using these, we probably changed, hopefully, the corporate landscape all across America.
No, if you get nominated, we'll be relitigating this all year.
So
what I asked.
I realize now that what Trump did to deflect was not agree and amplify, which is sort of like agree and amplify in the Megyn Kelly question would have been, you've called women X, Y, and Z. He said, oh, I haven't called them that. I've also called them A, B, and C.
Right.
That would be agree and amplify. What he actually did was amused mastery.
Yeah.
Which
Mm-hmm.
which is amused mastery, which is basically just mastering the comment and amusing on it and just ridiculing it. And what Bloomberg did here is he took it seriously. He took it as a serious accusation and then said, well, what we did is we released these women from their non-disclosure, their NDAs and all this and that. So he's sort of admitting guilt and then somehow trying to absolve himself at once. And that never works. When you're on the defense, when you're on the ropes like that, you have to do something like what Trump did, which is to neutralize the offense. And that's what Trump did. And it's a psychological tactic, what he employed. What Bloomberg is trying to do is a defensive strategy, and that never works. When you're on the ropes, you cannot win out in an argument when you're on the ropes.
Absolutely. And listen to how cucky and sorry, Kyle. Sorry about that. But listen, for real, how cucky and vulnerable and defensive he sounded right then. You know what I mean? Like he absolutely lost that point to Elizabeth Warren. You know what? That was a shitty argument in the first place. You know what I mean? And he absolutely genuflected to her.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, he's in a very dangerous position here with releasing the NDAs. The fact that he even had the NDAs in the first place is a bad look, and the fact that he then released them, it says, I did what she asked me to do, but now because you've caved to her once, now she's gonna just want more and more and more from you. So he's a bad position either way. Not releasing the NDAs, would have made him look bad, especially on this platform, the Democratic platform. But the fact that he even had them, they're in place for a reason, but it was because they were there. It was implied that it was sexual. It was implied that it was a Me Too sort of thing, which is why he was having them signed. So even if he wasn't guilty of that sort of situation, the implication was there. So he was kind of his hands were kind of tied. He was kind of forced to then go and release all those NDAs because otherwise they can just sit there and harp on, oh, he's a rapist. He raped this girl. And that's the only reason he had her sign an NDA was so that she wouldn't come out and hurt his political chances. And the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, but he had no choice. And because of that, this is where he's at. And, he didn't really have a good chance. The better thing would have been just to never have signed an NDA, never have done anything to have caused an NDA to be signed. But, history is what it is. You can't go back and change it now. You can only, live forward. And this is where he's at. So I don't know if Warren's strategy is going to be enough to stop him from getting votes on Super Tuesday and pushing past her with the amount of money that he's spending. But she's trying. She's doing what she can to stay, second or third in the race and have a viability chance because she knows that if he passes her, her viability is out the window.
Couldn't agree more. Spot on. All of it.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, well, do we want to just fast forward somewhere like later in the debate?
Yeah, it gets better. It turns into a food fight in about another 20 minutes down the line. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. 20 to 30 minutes. Something
do we have a timestamp to go to? Because I can go to a
No,
timestamp.
I don't have one.
Go like 1 hour forward.
Klobuchar or Biden?
Biden, for sure. Yeah. Who cares about Klobuchar?
Yeah.
Who?
Peter, are you calling me stupid or what? What do you mean?
And what we did, we set up. I helped set up that office in the presidency, in the president's office on diseases that are pandemic diseases. We increased the budget of the CDC. We increased the NIH budget. If I'm president today, and he's wiped all that out. We did it. We stopped it. And the second thing I point out to you is that what I would do immediately is restore the funding. He cut the funding for CDC. He tried to cut the funding for NIH. He cut the funding for the entire effort. And here's the deal. I would be on the phone with China and making it clear. We are going to need to be in your country. You have to be open. You have to be clear. We have to know what's going on. We have to be.
Okay, so they love to point out that we shouldn't be in Iraq, Afghanistan, all these other things, and because it's spending way too much money on foreign wars. But he's advocating going into China. There's no way China's just going to let us come in without it being a stipulation of a war. They're too proud of people. They are too independent of a people, and they got too much money, and we owe them too much money to have them ever allow us to just walk into their country and start dictating to them how they're going to do things. So, short of a war, which nobody wants, because that would be a real war, not a tribal thing or a long-term insurgency or something of that nature. That would be a straight-up war. Old-fashioned World War III kind of situation. There's no way we're going into China and telling them jack shit without them kicking us out, through a military action.
It is my understanding that they actually did let a couple of American virologists in with the World Health Organization posse that was allowed to come in and examine the Kung flu. But you're absolutely right. They turned the United States down as a whole. And so Biden's talking tough. I've been knocked down a bunch of times. And you just get back up and you fight back into it. This tough tone, this tough guy act that is getting so tiresome. It is completely inapplicable to the China situation, exactly as Kyle detailed.
Yeah.
Exactly as he did. It's not the right time,
Yeah.
So
I agree entirely with both of y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, maybe he's referring to medical professionals and these kinds of people, but Yeah, I mean, if he's talking like some sort of military occupation or anything of that sort, not even just an occupation, but just bringing some sort of, and I mean, what even is the purpose? Like, why would we even do that? And this is emblematic of the entire Democrat debate, is that they throw all these ideas out there with no real clarity about what they're even talking about.
Yeah, I'm going to make a guess here, and I think that what he was talking about was sending in medical professionals to find out what's going on with the Kung flu. I think that was the context. But I mean, it's everything Joe Biden can do to hold it together long enough to finish a sentence and not screw something up in a big way. So he's always just unclear about what the hell he's talking about. But I'm going to guess that was the context of it. And, him thinking for a moment that we can bully China into letting our medical professionals in to examine the Kung flu after China has provenly covered up what was going on in Wuhan. That's just absolutely stupid to say that. And it is a stupid political position and dangerous, and really, really dangerous, because all he's trying to do is make a political point in an effing debate, dude. And he's talking about really blowing up relations with China badly. So this fool. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like plausible deniability through vagueness.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
it's like, except for Bernie, that's like all of their positions,
Right.
But even to some extent, Bernie, he's like talking about the Nordic model, and who even knows what that means. I mean, I know what that means, but he's saying this as if everybody knows what it means, the Nordic model, and this and that. It's everybody, all of them are so vague. It's all plausible deniability through via vagueness.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yep. So, yeah, and it's as we've all argued on our various shows, it's because they can't answer the tough questions, and so just keep everything as vague as possible, and just please nobody call me out on exactly, for example, the money is going to come from to support socialized healthcare for the entire world, right? Please just keep this vague and don't really truly examine me on this, which their media lapdogs have been only to do thus far in all through all these debates. Nobody's been asked the hard question, So,
yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, gents, is that it for the stream? You want to call it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Good. We're right at hour 45 minutes on the show, but 2 hours together. With the 15 minutes of fun that we had. So I'm good if y'all are good, but if y'all want to stick around, I can just leave the stream up, but it's up to y'all.
No, I'm good. I need to get to bed here soon.
Yeah, I got some business I got to do. As much as I love talking with you gentlemen, I got to get some things done. So.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure.
All right.
Russ, how can people find you on the internet?
I am on Twitter, finally. I'm at Russ ZGM, at Russ ZGM on Twitter. I do not do Facebook or any other social media at the moment. You can always find us at Zero Gravity Med on Twitter and Facebook. And Luke, are you Cool Hand Lucifer on Twitter? I can't remember exactly what you are. I think you are Cool Hand.
No, I need to change it because it's too difficult to spell. My Twitter handle is I'm Luke Skinner on Twitter, but my actual @ handle is Lucifer, LUKEFAHR Skinner, at Lucifer Skinner. But I need to change that because nobody knows how to spell Lucifer.
Yeah. And I actually had a recent Twitter handle change. I had been Kyle Schumann, but Outlaw FTT08 for years. Tried to go be just Kyle Schumann, but unfortunately someone's got that handle and hasn't tweeted since 2013. So I am now at Kyle Schumann 08, and that's my new Twitter handle.
Did you try at real Kyle Schumann?
There you go.
I don't like when people do that personally. I think it's fake and cheesy. So I didn't want to go that direction. And I do still want to have some call out to, my A&M ties, my A&M class year. So that's why I went
fair.
with 08.
Okay, good. I'm still following you. I just wanted to make sure I was still following you after the name change. But yeah, I've got you. We're good.
Nothing should have changed on your end other than that now in your feed it'll show up as I'm at Kyle Schumann 08 instead of Outlaw FTT 08. Oh, I also did change my Abby. It had been a picture of me and one of my good friends at the A&M SEC announcement from 2012. So I changed it to something that's a little bit more relevant. It's me in some sunglasses. So just, more up to date, a little bit, and a little more professional picture, me looking decent instead of me and a friend at an event. So.
All right.
Trying to bring some professionalism to the Zero Gravity Media platform.
Yes, indeed.
That's right,
yes,
man.
Indeed.
That's right.
You do it intrinsically. Don't sweat it, man. So, dang. So, like, as I click on Twitter right now, #1 trending on Twitter right now is #DropOutBernie. Swear to God.
Wow.
Swear to God, it is trending beyond coronavirus.
Let me go look.
Something tells me the DNC has something to do with that.
Yeah. Go figure. I bet you're right.
Well, trending in Texas is Be Someone, and then in Pixar Onward after that. But then in politics, top trending thing is Trump Slump, Rhode Island, and C.J. Henderson. So I'm not seeing
That's funny.
The same thing you're seeing.
I see Trump Slump. Yeah, I see Dropout Bernie, #1, coronavirus, #2, except they misspelled it. It's coronavirus. I don't know what that's all about. And Trump Slump. Yeah.
Dude, okay, well, that's funny. So I'm in Europe. I have my Twitter set to United States trends. And I have my trends are El Clasico, 7 Billboard #1 album, Shake Milton, LGBTQ power, and #5, Drop Out Bernie.
Dang. So weird how they return such various trending results. And I know this from being on 4chan. Everybody's like, okay, I'm looking like, for example, Dropout Bernie. Somebody will log on to 4chan and post and be like, I don't see Dropout Bernie at all. I even searched for it and I don't see it. It's weird how they do this, So
yeah.
So I clicked Get More, and then Dropout Bernie is #6.
Okay, #6. Yeah, I see it as #1. Crazy.
Yeah, but like El Clasico, that's Real Madrid versus Barcelona. That would never be trending in the United States. Yet that's the #1 trend in the United States right now.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they get some more illegal immigration in there. Maybe then.
Soccer has become decently well received in the U.S. now, especially up north. But even in Texas, it's becoming more popular, especially with the large Hispanic population that we have and legal Hispanic population we have. So yeah, soccer's making a bigger presence here than it used to be. It's not not as big as
number one trend on Twitter.
I mean, there's no real football, like no real Cowboys or Redskins or any of those kind of games going on. And the NBA is kind of meh. No one cares anymore. So soccer is starting to kind of get a little bit more of a niche because of the fact that there isn't any real, no American football is on. XFL is on, but it hasn't been around as long. There's more people that have that intrinsic value to some of these Premier League football matches than, an XFL game.
Yeah, I'm loving the XFL, by the way. I love it. It's great. Yeah.
I'm going to try to go watch one here soon.
Cool. Sorry, Luke, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I actually love watching soccer, but I just, of all of the trends on Twitter in the United States, I don't see a soccer game being one of them.
Yeah.
At least not the #1.
Yeah, I would agree. So, all right, fellas, let's do it. What do y'all say?
All right, guys. I appreciate y'all joining, and it's been fun, but we can I think this definitely warrants doing it again.
Definitely.
So
absolutely, man.
We'll try doing it more often. I don't know if we'll do it every Sunday, but we'll definitely try to do it as much as we can.
Sounds great, man. Friday nights, Sundays, I love them both, man. I had so much fun last Friday, and I did today as well. So thank y'all so much, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Agreed.
All right.
Take care. Peace out, Kyle. Peace out, Russ.
We'll see you, Luke. Take care, Kyle.
Late.